This is a full-time?
This is a full-time gig for me. So I'm learning a lot about small business practices, marketing, accounting, time management, because to be able to paint, like I paint live here at Whitespace now, which allows me to both interact with the public, which is good marketing, talk about my classes, those sorts of things, and while I'm creating some of my smaller works. The bigger stuff I tend to still kind of go into my own space to do that, because that's more of a process.
So we were talking about your goals for the future. You want to meld those more? And...
Yeah. So with that, I'd like to see my work go to some galleries that are outside of the Portland area. I think my work in general would do better out of Portland because it is larger, more expensive, more kind of, it's just not necessarily Portland-esque art.
Sure.
So getting it into an environment where it can breathe a little bit, find some space to breathe, and continue to produce and continue to find new voice. I'm playing with a new concept for the first Thursday show in May. I'm really excited about.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
It's actually an interactive project. So again, I'm very much about people touching my work, having their own experience with my work, doing the advocacy thing where these populations make the work, but then the audience of the community then interacts with it. So to take that to my art table, actually making it mine, I'm creating what I call puzzle pieces. Do you remember those like tile puzzles we made as did as kids? And I create tiles, and they'll be magnetized but on the wall, and so people can literally move and rearrange the abstract work and interact with it physically, as well as go ahead and finish it with the 10th piece will be the finishing. And then if people have it on their wall, they can change it, they can engage it if they have people that they want to experience that with. Although the original art still really remains mine in my concept and my composition, I do it in such a way that just about any arrangement creates another piece of art that's also mine. So in one piece you get this multitude, this exponential experience of a single piece of artwork.
Very cool. Where can people get a hold of you?
I have a website, kellywilliamsart.com. And so I'm also at kellywilliamsart.com, kellywilliamsart@gmail.com. I'm not hard to find. Just, throw me in Google and I pop up pretty quick. But it's always Kelly Williams Art. I'm opening an Etsy store. I'm finally figuring out Instagram. I'm kind of a slow one on that.
It's taken me so long to figure out Instagram out.
Because I'm image oriented. I should be on Instagram, not necessarily Facebook. But so, and again, I'm often at Whitespace, and I teach probably twice a month in my studio, like large groups, and then take private appointments.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Let's show off a few of the pieces that you have hanging up really quick.
So we got this one.
All right.
So this is a larger piece. Sorry, it's like really bright today. So this is one of my larger pieces. Now when I want to work this big, I tend to break it down into separate panels that I can then rebuild together.
All right.
I actually did a piece, a 7-foot Rothko style piece that hung at the Portland Center Stage during the production of Red. And
wow.
So that was just a phenomenal experience there to have something up, but it taught me that I couldn't fit a 7-foot piece in or out of my studio.
Right.
So I had to break it down into smaller blocks. And again, that idea of rearranging work so that it holds its own.
Very cool.
So let's see what else we got here. We have this piece.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about this piece?
So this piece kind of came during a heavy transition, and my kids were moving out of the house. We sold our home. There was a big move. My husband was traveling. There was just a lot of shifting happening. So I went through, and if you back up, you can kind of see that there's red boxes. It's sort of a funny little optical illusion. And in each of those red boxes, I wrote a name of who I am. So wife, child, teacher, you know, and went through that whole process of self-identification in those boxes, because those boxes were beginning to change for me.
Right.
And, you know, and then this was the box that was sort of the unknown future piece. And what I realized as I was doing these boxes and asking myself this question, well, what is next? What is next? What's that going to look like? I realized that what if the answer was in the spaces in between the boxes, and had this just lovely moment and actually wrote that within the spaces in between is exactly that epiphany that I had that then kind of steered me towards a shift in my own experience. The bars were about how many, you know, each one has words in it. So this is all about kind of internal conversations that we don't say out loud. And I spoke to the idea that, you know, how many masks must we wear? How many shoes must we walk in? How many hats? You know, all those kind of metaphors for how do we find our own self-identity? And when will we let go of other people's ideas of who we need to be and break that cage and become that thing that we need to be, which is often a combination of both what's expected of us and our own kind of deepest desires, and to grow out of that. So a lot of work in this, both technically and personally. So
I love it.
Thanks.
I really do.
Thanks.
And how much do you generally sell your pieces for?
You know, I hate to say it, but people expect sort of a square foot pricing on size-wise. My smaller pieces I try to keep pretty inexpensive. This one, for instance, is $9.50, and which is about right. And they range kind of depending on location and how much technical work went into them. Mm-hmm. The last piece we saw is in the $3,000 range. You know, but I'm also represented by a gallery, and so their prices also reflect that. Mm-hmm. That's why the smaller work I really try to make accessible to kind of the average buyer. So I have work, original artwork under $100 at all times, and it's good work. It's solid work. It's just in a smaller package.
Did you participate in the big 500?
Oh, I have since the beginning.
Yeah.
So people are always really excited to get a piece from me at that price, because my work is, you know, usually outside the price range for
right.
people. So my stuff is great. It goes really quick, and it's a lot of fun for me to try a new idea. I always do like half what people will recognize on the wall, and half something that I haven't done before, to see how people respond. So
very cool.
Yeah,
that's a really good way to do it.
Yeah, it's fun, and I love doing the community stuff. I love that Whitespace allows me to still do shows with Chris. You know, some smaller stuff. I'm in another show in Oregon City. There's a brand new, beautiful gallery out there, La Boca, and we just did a great group show there of artists that are in a critique group together. So again, you know, just my stuff's sort of a little bit everywhere. I have a hard time keeping track sometimes.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's really good.
It's a good problem to have, right? And then, let's see, we've got this piece, which is kind of the matching brother to the first piece that we looked at. And then I think I have one final piece left, so we'll kind of wiggle our way through.
That's okay. We can look at Whitespace while we're walking through.
It's an awesome bar, great chef. And then there's this piece, which was part of that Unspoken series. You see it?
There is so much.
Yeah, there is so much. So yeah, this one again is all about the idea of palimpsest and the layering, and what the original story was then gets changed when the next story is put over the top, which is the next writing over the top of that, and then just that process over and over and over again until you can't necessarily make out any individual story anymore, but you've become the whole content of all those stories put together. And some of them you see, some of them you don't. They come and go. There's writing deep within it. There's the idea of voice waves. There's large writing. There was writing probably on the raw wood before I even started.
How do you apply the wax? Do you use like a brush, or do you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
It's not melted yet, but I'm trying to get melted before you think. So the idea is, so these are the little bucket thingies that I make, and once the paint is melted, this will turn into a full liquid. I apply it to a board, and I'm trying to see if I've got something handy here. So if you take take this, which is just a random piece I'm working on. Again, already a ton of layers happening. I think this is the only color that's close to melted. And then the idea is that you put the wax on like this and feel that it's already dry.
Wow.
It does. It absolutely dries almost instantaneously, especially if it's kind of a cool thing. And then I would take it and there, stay there. This is the fun part. It's all about the torch. And then you can go through, and this acts like the brush. And so then that gets blended into the layer underneath. So it's all about stacking the layers and fusing between every layer, and you end up with a piece that is actually archival for close to 1,000 years if it's taken well care of. It's more archival and more ancient than oil painting. So, and then you can go in and really kind of work the undercolors back out.
Do you have an idea of what you're going for before you start a piece?
Sometimes. Sometimes the idea is visual and I have a pretty good idea of the design. Other times it's more about the story I'm trying to tell, and then I stay more open to what it might reveal for me. That kind of idea. So is it idea driven or is it content, like visual content driven? Like obviously if I'm doing like tree pieces, landscape pieces, there's a concept to it. A lot of times if I'm approaching an abstract, I might have an idea of how I want to divide the space, some of the tools that I want to use, because the tools are really interesting. You know, then you can go back in through the warm paint, and this is one of the ways you can go through and make
designs on
right,
it.
designs and lines and create, and you can carve back in. It's just sort of this endless process. I've also done some photo encaustic work, which I enjoy doing as well.
Photo encaustic.
So photographs can be transferred into the wax.
Okay.
Photos can be printed on particular types of paper where then they can be painted on. And so that actual image becomes related. So this would be an example of a photo encaustic.
Oh, neat.
Where an image was taken and placed over the top of encaustic, and that the two play well together. If you have a really good, again, it's conceptual idea, then yeah.
So I guess the last thing that I wanted to talk about is I'm throwing a gallery out of my house once a month.
Uh-huh.
And I invite all of the artists that I interviewed in the previous month to show at the next month's gallery. So there's going to be one this month on March 27th.
Okay.
And you're more than welcome to come check it out,
Okay.
See what it's going to be like. There's going to be like free booze and food and live music, and we paint on the walls.
Excellent.
And it's a lot of fun. But you're invited to like actually come show work next month.
Okay.
On the 24th of April.
April 24th. Cool. Yeah, I'll go through and see what I've got that we can work with.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Great.
I guess that's really all I have. Thanks everybody for tuning in. This is the Art Life video blog, day 99. Tomorrow's day 100, so we'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.